Doug MPA back with another video. So guys, I've done videos on my channel about men and female dominated workplaces and then interactions between men and women in the workplace post the M2 movement. You guys really seem to like that, the people that follow my channel. This is kind of along the same lines. This article is called "These Once Male Dominated Jobs Are Now Mostly Held by Women." I know women always talk about men are gatekeeping certain jobs in certain industries, the glass ceiling, women have it so hard. Well, this article outlines job industries that are over 50% women now. Now, this is going to be kind of a longer one because the list of jobs is kind of long. We're going to go over each one and this article. Before I do that, like the video, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. It's just you support me and what I'm doing over here. And let's get into this. This Grant Sunson says women accounted for 46.8% of the 147.8 million people working in the U.S. labor force in 2020. A decade earlier, women accounted for 47.2% of all American workers. Women have made a steadily increasing share of the U.S. labor workforce in recent decades, increasing from 29.6% in 1950. This progressed and plateaued around 2015, when the female share of the labor force hit 46.8%. So female workers account for a majority of the labor force and an increasing amount of jobs. Okay, to determine the jobs that were formerly dominated, that are now dominated by women, 24/7 Wall Street Data reviewed data on employment by gender for over 500 detailed occupations. Some other shifting workforce demographics in these jobs can be at least partially attributed to education. Remember, guys, almost 70% of college attendance now is women. 70%. Many careers require workers to have at least a bachelor's degree, if not an advanced degree. Women have earned more than half of all bachelor's degrees every year since 1982, and the majority of doctoral degrees each year since 2006. They talk about the pandemic. More than 2.3 million women left the labor force from February 2020 to January 2021. I think that was the Great Resignation, compared to 1.8 million men. People often leave the labor force because they're retiring, becoming a full-time parent, or sometimes they can't find a job, so they stop looking. Though women do not make up a majority of the U.S. workforce, they do make up a majority of workers in a number of very important jobs. So let's look into it. Okay. The first one, number 14, insurance sales agents. Increasing female workers, 2010 and 2020, 0.7%. Percent of workers who are female in 2020, 50.1%. Median earnings, $48,412 a year. And, I guarantee you the pay was higher until it was saturated with not just women workers, but workers, period. $48,000 a year, guys, average. So though the median weekly wages for women insurance sales agents has increased faster than the wages of their male counterparts in the past 5 years, a significant wage gap persists. There's our favorite two words, guys, wage gap. Male insurance sales agents had a median annual earnings equivalent to $60,000 in 2020, while the median for female agents was less than $43,000 of that same year. Once again, guys, men work longer hours. Men are more likely to have a insurance agent business where they employ other people. Men take risks, all that stuff. That's why. Okay. Number 13, post-secondary teachers. We all know that. So these are like professors at community colleges, universities, all that stuff. That's true. That was the case when I was an undergrad back in the 2000s. It was a lot of women. Increase in female workers, 2010 to 2020, plus 5.2 percentage points. Percentage of workers who are female is 51.1%. And the median annual earnings for 2020, all post-secondary teachers, is $78,832. Wow, that's a lot lower than I thought. But I guess if you factor in the Midwest and the South and stuff, they probably don't make as much as teachers up north. It says more women have earned doctorate degrees than men each year since 2006. The median annual income for female post-secondary teachers is $71,968, or 84.8% of the typical income of a male professor. The figure is just slightly lower than the the 82.3% gender wage gap for all workers, of course. That gender wage gap, guys. Number 12, advertising sales agents. That's still a thing? Okay. Increase in female workers, 2010 to 2020, plus 6.2 percentage points. Percentage of workers who are female, 53.8%. And then the average earnings is $55,432. So, you know, when you see that girl that's going to school for communications, marketing, this is where they're going to end up. And they're going to top out at $55,000 a year. So it says women accounted for 47.6% of ad sales agents in 2010, but now they're 53.8%. The number of male ad sales agents declined by nearly 42% from 2010 to 2020, down to 65,142. The number of female ad sales agents fell 25.5% in the same time. Overall, the total number of ad sales agents declined by over a third, from 214,000 in 2010 to 141,000, and that's why you see more women, because guys are getting out of this industry like, you know, a lot of guys see the writing on the wall and go into other fields. That's just my guess. 11, of course, artists and related workers. You guys. Increase in female workers, 6.4%. 53.5% of artists and related workers are women. And the average earnings is $58,000 a year. So this includes people working as fine artists, art directors, craft artists, special effects artists, animators, and more. It was one of the fastest growing occupations, with a total workforce increasing by more than 31% from 2010 to 2020. The number of female artists and related workers increased by more than 49% in recent years. Wow. Okay, on to the next one. News analysts, reporters, and correspondents. So this is another one where you can see a lot more women. You can see it as prominently women by just turning on, you know, any of the major cable networks, news networks. Increase in female workers, plus 7.1%. Percentage of workers who are female, 54% of news correspondents and analysts are women. And guys, look at this. The average earnings is $54,288. So guys, the people out and about on the news, the anchors behind the desk, most of them are making about $50,000 to $60,000 a year. How sad is that? Once again, women are taking up the cable news, whereas a lot of men are starting YouTube channels because cable is a dying industry. In fact, I read an article the other day saying that they might take CNN off of regular TV, off of cable news, because no one's watching it, and they'll just have like a streaming format instead. In 2010, there were 43,000 male news analysts, reporters, correspondents, compared to just 38,000 female workers. Over the next 10 years, the number of male journalists declined to 17.6%. Number of female journalists increased by 9.5%. Media organizations are moving more towards online content, but then, you know, it's predominantly women. Isn't that funny? From 2019 to 2029, the number of news analysts, reporters, and correspondents is projected to shrink by 11%. Buddy, I think it's going to be more than that. Okay, let's keep the list going. Lodging managers. So these are, you know, people that run hotels. Increase in female workers, 7.6%. Number of female, 56%. Average earnings is $46,176. So lodging managers are responsible for directing, planning, and coordinating the organization of places that provide accommodations such as hotels. From 2010 to 2015, the number of female lodging managers increased significantly from 69,000 to 85,000. With travel all but halted in 2020 due to the cough, the number of lodging managers dropped by more than 22%. The workforce of male lodging managers shrinking by 26%, and the workforce of female lodging managers shrinking by 19%. A lot of these are dying industries, guys. women are finally catching up to men, but they're in fields where they don't make a lot of money, and the job market is shrinking. Compliance officers. Female workers increased by 10.1%. 57.1% of all compliance officers are women, with an annual salary of $71,000. Compliance officers ensure laws and regulations are being followed and that the workers are properly trained, equipped, and licensed. Yeah, that sounds like a female-dominated industry to me. They're commonly employed by state, federal, and local governments. Female compliance officers earn nearly as much as males on the job, with median weekly earnings of 1,000. No, they misspoke there. Anyway, it's not important. Medical, dental, and ophthalmic laboratory technicians. And see, guys, it's stuff like this, which is why it used to be if you got a bachelor's degree in biology, it meant something, but not anymore. So many women are getting biology degrees and then just doing jobs like this, where you're only making $36,088 a year. So, increase of women from 2010 to 2020, 10.9%. And number who are female, 59.9%. Medical, dental, ophthalmological, laboratory technicians is just one of 8 occupations in which the distribution of workers has gone from majority male to majority female. And this is probably why, guys. This $36,088 a year. Of all the jobs on the list, laboratory technicians make the least money. The job has median annual earnings of just $36,000 across all workers, male or female. Gaming service workers. Oh, wow. Okay. I wouldn't have figured this one. Increase by 12.5% female workers, 50.6% are female. And once again, look at this, guys. Average earnings, $39,780 a year. This is why women are taking it over, because guys, we're getting less and less salary, and we're not dealing with it. Gaming service workers are employed by places where people can gamble, like racetracks and casinos. They help customers as well as deal and run games of chance. So these are like dealers, blackjack dealers, people that do all the table games, stuff like that. Next is photographers. This is true. I know a lot of women who have a side hustle of being a photographer. A lot of women. Increase from 2010 to 2020 in female workers is 12.7%. Percentage who are female is 52% of photographers are female. And okay, the median annual earnings is actually higher than I thought. It's $51,480 a year. Okay, the number of female photographers increased by nearly 53% in the last decade, while the number of male photographers shrank by 8.7%. The majority of this demographic shift took place from 2010 and 2015 as women went from 39.4% to 49.9%. Postal service clerk workers. This is another one I never would have guessed. Up by 16.8% women. 62% of postal service clerk workers. Now, are these the people behind the counter or the people delivering the mail? Let's see. Annual earnings is about $52,520 a year. I think that's right on the money. Postal service clerk is one of just 3 jobs considered in which female workers went from less than half of the workforce to about 60%. Okay, these workers receive letters, parcels, sell postage. Yeah, okay, these are the people behind the counter, not the actual delivery people. As people increasingly use email and other forms of online communication, the number of clerks is projected to continue declining, with the occupation losing 14% of its total workforce by 2029, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Another industry in decline, which is why men are leaving. Judges, magistrates, and other judicial workers. Now, this I can imagine. I go through a lot of videos about paternity court in different courts and women being biased towards men. And so I totally believe this is true. Up by 17.5% women and 53.9% of judges, magistrates, and other judicial workers are women. And with an annual salary of $96,512, um, judicial work ranks as the fourth highest paying career with a majority female workforce. I think that we should advocate for men to be um, for them to put quotas for men to be able to get into this field. It's only fair, right? I want things to be equal. I want judges, magistrates, and judicial workers to be 50% men and 50% women. The fact that it's 53.9% is not fair. Judicial work typically requires a law degree, and as of 2016, women surpassed men in law school enrollment. Yep, and that's why women have so much more student loan debt. Other healthcare practitioners and technical occupations went up by female workers went up by 19.7%. Workers who are female is 62.8%, and you make $65,208 a year. So, what are other healthcare practitioners and technical occupations? It doesn't say doctors or nurses, but nurses are a female-dominated field. Career field of other healthcare practitioners and other technical occupations include health information technologists, medical registrars, athletic trainers, genetic counselors, surgical assistants, and more. Yep, those are all female positions. I can see that 100%. And then number one, administrative service managers. Of course. Did you guys think it was going to be anything else besides this? Honestly, I really want you to think about it. Up by 37.3% from 2010 to 2020 female workers. 71.7% of administrative service managers are women, and the average earnings is $66,768 a year. Administrative service managers help organizations run more efficiently, directing activities like record keeping, mail distribution, and office upkeep, so like office managers. Administrative service management is one of just a handful of occupations in which female employment increased sharply while male employment declined dramatically. And so let's see if at the same time, the number of female workers in this job increased from 30. Okay. Administrative service managers are generally expected to have a bachelor's degree, and women have earned more bachelor's degrees than men each year since 1982. What they're not saying is that the number of administrative service managers are going to decrease now that a lot of people are working from home. Another dying industry. Did this surprise you guys? It didn't surprise me at all. So those are the 14 jobs that went from predominantly men to predominantly women. If you can think of any other ones, put them in the comment section. Even if even if it's anecdotal experience. Or do you work in an office where you long enough, 20, 30 years, where you saw a bunch of men there and now there's a bunch of women? Make sure to let me know in the comments. None of these shock me at all. None of them. If they were to have like construction worker, I would be shocked. If they were to have electrician, I'd be shocked. If they were to have police, I'd be shocked. But we know it's not going to be on here, guys, because men work the dirty jobs that women don't want to do. That will always be our ace in the hole, and that's always why men will make more money than women in my lifetime. I'm 42 years old. I'll be 80, and there will still be a quote unquote wage gap. I hate that term, between men and women. When you start seeing women going down into the sewers, working on oil rigs, then then we can start having a conversation about this. Anyway, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you on the next one.